welcome to May. I mean Tuesday. I mean Sweet 301. I'm Sandy. This is Christian. We're joined here, coming to you live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, give you all the updates around all the Cold Club sports leagues. Don't forget, you can always tune in to our Facebook, YouTube, and Sweet 301 pages to gather all the info.
And remember to like our Facebook pages, to follow all of our Twitter accounts for the latest news and media. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the latest news from around all of our leagues and to watch previous episodes of Sweet 301.
Around these parts, we have a running joke that we don't know what day of the week it is because all we know it's May. It's May, right? What
it is May.
It's May. Well, it's Sweet 301, so it must be Tuesday. So we've got that marker at least. But, hey, Christian, we got a lot of championships. I think the last show we were on, we were recapping the basketball championships. We got 4 championships coming up in the next 10 days. So let's get after it.
Yeah.
And before we get into those baseball and softball championships, let's welcome to the set Matt Hazy, Director of Men's Basketball Operations, to give us a little bit of basketball updates.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can start off with the all-region teams. So we have the Great Lakes all-region team who was announced yesterday. There's 3 teams. So on the first team we have from Xavier, starting at center, we have Jens Peterson. Forward from Purdue, we have Gunnar Reffitt. Forward from Xavier, we have Marcus Montagnino. Point guard from Xavier, we have Robert Goldsberry. And then shooting guard, we have Wright State and Mitchell Foland on the first team.
Nice.
I'm not going to read off all of them, but at least the first team there. So
Xavier kind of being a top dog there. Purdue getting a number of Great Lakes all-region nods there.
Yep.
You know, Xavier won the region this past year, right?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Purdue being a strong team that won it last year. All right, makes some sense. And then Wright State having a good showing there, too.
Absolutely. And then moving on to the next one, which was released today, the Mid-Atlantic all-region teams. Starting off with the first team, all Mid-Atlantic, we have Gabe Calhoun from VMI at center. We have Sidney Labonzo from Salisbury at forward. Warren Akonda from VMI at forward. Mason Porter from Salisbury at point guard. And then Dylan Bright from Salisbury at shooting guard. So
now the Mid-Atlantic winner this year was James Madison.
Yes, correct.
Nationally.
Yep.
Now, some people at home would say, how did no one from James Madison make the all-region team? How would that happen?
Well, that's because they didn't nominate any of their players.
Okay, well, we talked about that on previous shows. You got to nominate
to
get the nod. So, congratulations to VMI and Salisbury there for nominating some players and getting those honors. All right. So those are the 2 regions. There's more regions
Correct.
out there?
Yeah, there will be a region released every day for this week, and then Monday as well, and then All-Americans will be released on Tuesday.
All right.
Beautiful.
Sounds good. So stay tuned there on the men's basketball side. I understand we've also had some new teams sign on for next year.
Yes. Since last show, we've had 4 new teams join on. We have Georgia Highlands College in the South Atlantic. We have Illinois State University out in the Great Lakes. We have Case Western Reserve University. They'll either be Great Lakes or North Atlantic. And then we have Dartmouth College as well.
Dartmouth would be in New England.
Yes,
right?
yeah, Dartmouth in New England.
And that brings our total up to 9 new teams, I believe, for next year. Awesome stuff. More on the horizon.
Absolutely. Working every day on that.
Okay, so stay tuned for the June episode where Matt announces the next 42 teams that have signed on for next year's season. All right, good stuff. Well, as you know, men's basketball is winding down for the end of the year. What else should teams be dealing with, worried about on a housekeeping side of things?
The main couple of things right now are the renewal LPAs. Those have been sent out numerous times. They're on our website, so please make sure you're taking care of those sooner rather than later. And then also the league meeting invitation was sent out today as well. That'll be June 20th at 7 p.m. Via Facebook Live, so be on the lookout for that. And if you are not the team president anymore, please pass that along to the correct person so they get that, so they can tune in for us for that.
I take it that meeting would be 7 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern time,
Okay,
correct,
great.
yes.
Good stuff.
And that is about it.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you. Keep up the hard work. We look forward to chatting next month when we recap all our baseball and softball national championships and learning about what other new basketball teams have come on board since this conversation. Without further ado, let's invite Alec Verhoff to the show. Give us an update.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good. How are you doing, Alec?
Good. Can't complain.
Hey, so you've gotten some on the women's side. Your All-Americans have been announced. All-American award winners, correct?
Yes, got the All-Americans out yesterday.
All right. Give us a little talk about it.
Yeah. As you can see, we got on the first team here. We've got a couple people from our national championship team, Nevada. We've got Sophie Sims and Lexi Kroljak. Lexi was our MVP of the tournament. And then we've got a few from Montclair State and Courtney Hardy, Deja Bell, and Cyan Villar. That rounds out the first team there. And then not going to go through all of it here, but as you can see, the rest of the second and third teams, they're made up mostly of Montclair State, Ohio State, and Nevada Reno, with a couple others sprinkled in there. So congratulations to everybody. It's been a great season. Every one of these players had a great season, so congratulations on receiving the All-American honors.
Outstanding stuff. Thank you, Alec. How about on the women's basketball side? I understand we've got some growth and expansion to talk about as well.
We do. We've got a couple new teams on. University of Iowa being one of them. They are actually returning. They were in the league a couple years ago, but not this past season. So we're welcoming them back. And then also Boston University. Boston University is actually brand new, recognized as a club with the school, and they're joining our New England, which is pretty packed out there. So they'll have plenty of competition.
All right. Welcome, Terriers. Welcome, Hawkeyes. Welcome back, Hawkeyes. Welcome back, Hawkeye. It sounds like a TV show.
Welcome back, Cotter.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking about. All right, Alec, what else should the women's basketball teams be focused on as the school year comes to a close?
Yeah, same type of stuff as the men's basketball league. Those renewal LPAs very important right now. We've been having more and more come in every day, but get those submitted as soon as possible before you leave campus. It's much easier that way than to try and do it, whenever you go home for the summer. Also, same as men's, we have our league meeting coming up. It'll be the day after, June 21st. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So you can tune in on that via Facebook Live, and we'll go over the whole season, what's to come next season, and potential rule proposals.
Right.
And those are the two big things. Outside of that, I would just say new team referrals. If your team knows of any potential new teams that could be good for the league, please pass that information along to me, and I'd be happy to set up a call with them.
Sounds like good stuff, Alec. Well, hey, good job this season. It was a great women's basketball season, great men's basketball season. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. But we bid you adieu, and we're going to move on to some new updates right after this quick commercial break.
The Game is the official headwear sponsor for Cold Club Sports. They offer our team's quality headwear, such as hats, visors, boonies, and beanies, for a great low price. All items are customizable to meet our team's needs. Contact Felicia.Battaglia at coldclubsports.com for all of your headwear needs.
Rawlings is the proud uniform, equipment, and ball sponsor of the National Club Baseball and Softball Associations. Teams receive up to 45% off on all their orders. For more information, including catalogs and price quotes, contact our front office today.
All right, we're back, and I welcome to the set the gurus of club baseball. We got Eric Curator and Jimmy Henderson on set.
Fixing the mic, sorry.
There we go.
Getting situated.
Hey,
What's going on this time of year? Anything?
exactly, right? We just finished, the Division I regionals were last weekend. Division II and Division III were the weekend before. Division II World Series and Division III World Series start this Friday, right?
They do. 3 days away, right?
Yep. So a lot of action going on. Where do we want to start in this? Jimmy, you want to take us through the new top 20 poll for Division II?
Yeah.
all 8 World Series teams rounding out the top 8. Grand Canyon still up top. Ohio State still right behind them, followed by Central Florida, Temple, Missouri S&T, New Hampshire, the Air Force Academy, and Wisconsin Lacrosse.
Okay. Wisconsin Lacrosse jumping from not ranked to number 8. That's a big rise.
And when in a regional will do that.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's it.
World
Just
Series team. There you go.
Respect there.
Yeah, several other teams making their first appearance with North Georgia, Metro State, and Creighton, 2 all regional teams. Creighton was in their regional finals. That's who the Wisconsin Lacrosse beat.
All right.
See a lot of new faces. See a lot of old faces. You got a nice little parody there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Penn State outside the top 20.
That's what 0-2 gets you at regionals.
Yeah. 0-2 and barbecue.
Yeah. I think they were 21
Okay.
for what it's worth.
It's not top 20 though.
It's not top 20.
No, it doesn't get your logo on the screen.
No.
All right. All right. Well, then, I guess next up, let's jump over to the Division III latest top 10 poll. Go through an update there.
You want me to take it? Gotcha. All right. Hey, number 1, we had Maine, 5 first-place votes, all 5. 2, Oakland. 3, George Washington. 4, Rhode Island, who we'll talk to in a little bit here. And then 5 was Navy. Obviously, we're going to talk a bit more about which 4 teams made the World Series as this came out a week before district playoffs. But when this came out, that's the top 10 right there.
Okay. Alrighty. Moving on to let's touch base on the Division One. The most recently, the World D1 regionals that took place this past weekend. Eric, run us
Yeah,
through
let's just
that
go
a little bit.
one by one. And Jimmy, you can actually take the lead on this one if you want, just because you were on site. Mid-Atlantic tournament down in Charleston, West Virginia.
I was. Virginia Tech goes 3-0. Down in this one, we had a little bit of weather to work around, but it ended up working out pretty well. Got all games in with some very minor changes. Virginia Tech was impressive. Still a very good pitching team. 1-9, all of their guys can hit, put the ball in play a lot. A lot of stressful at bats for the pitchers. A lot of deep counts. No easy out in that lineup. So they're going to be a tough out.
And if I remember, you said Braden Hitch is back this year, right?
Yeah.
World Series MVP, perfecto, back in 2020?
Yeah.
21, excuse me.
He
in the
started
championship game.
Game 1. Virginia Tech takes a big lead, so he doesn't throw too many pitches there, and then came back to start the championship. And I want to say he went either into the 7th or into the 8th. So probably tournament MVP there for the Hokies.
Good for them. It's always nice to have them back, too. They're a good group of guys, and like we said, Braden Hitch, World Series MVP back in 2021. They won the thing. He threw a perfect game in the championship. It was a heck of a story, and excited to see them back this year in Alton, Illinois. So that's the Mid-Atlantic. Let's just keep it moving right along. What do we got here? We got Mid-America. Colorado came out on top. They had a very impressive tournament. Not only that, they double-dipped Iowa State on Sunday, Championship Sunday. Iowa State came in as the 1 seed. Colorado won 2 in a row to take home the Mid-America regional title.
Got the revenge. Basically, got 3 games in against Iowa State on that weekend tournament.
Yep.
I dropped the first one, won the second 2.
Yep, familiar foes right there.
Boom, boom, boom.
Moving on to the SOPAC. Familiar face right there, Cal Poly. Returning World Series runner-up. They ran the table 3-0. Very impressive. Expecting big things out of them next week at the World Series.
Looks like they still hit pretty well.
They do. I think that's just a SOPAC thing. You always see those football scores out there. And, they can hit. I'm sure they got some good pitching, too. So it'll be interesting to see how they stack up. Moving right along, the NOPAC. Utah State had a fantastic tournament. They've been the number 1 seed all year. They entered the regional tournament undefeated. They did suffer their first loss of the year to Oregon. And then I don't know who followed along, but I was watching, and it was probably one of the most exciting Game 7s I've seen in a regional tournament in a long time. Utah State was up 3, I believe, going into the 9th. Oregon had the bases loaded, 2 out, full count. And the guy unfortunately struck out. But it was an amazing game. Hats off to Oregon. Hats off to the rest of the teams, too. But Utah State came out on top. 2nd straight World Series appearance, 2-time World Series champ. They got a heck of a resume, and excited to see what they can do next week.
We talked about them last year at the World Series, how good they looked, and despite how young they were last year. So a year of
Year older, year experience.
Year of experience should put them in a really strong position going to the World Series.
Gulf Coast, great tournament by LSU. World Series team last year. Obviously, they repeated. They're going to be heading back again this year. Fantastic performance across the board. Alabama, hats off to them too, came in as the at-large bid. Just came one game short, but hats off to LSU. Excited to see them next week as well.
I know Texas A&M was highly regarded going into this regional.
Absolutely.
They slipped away 0-2.
Yep.
Did you hear any updates on what happened with them?
Not specifically, but I was just really kind of shocked. Like you said, they were towards the top of the polls the whole year. I believe they went 17-1 in conference play. They were beating everybody up. Number 1 seed heading to the regional, and 2 in barbecue. Alabama took them down the first round, and then who'd they lose to? SMU right after that in the losers bracket. So, anything can happen in a regional, and LSU came out on top second year in a row. Great Lakes, we're going to be talking to these guys soon. Oh, no, I take that back. We'll be talking to Penn State. But these guys, great weekend. Really off everybody's radar, and I don't mean that with any disrespect, but last year they came in off a 3-16 season, and now regional champ. They're going to be seeing them next week, the World Series. Heck of a weekend. Came in, took down, who they play first? Was that Notre Dame, top 10 nationally ranked team. Took down number 1 Michigan, another top 10 nationally ranked team. And they took down Notre Dame again in the championship. Really impressive performance. I know Mike Galletti, our guy out there, said great defense. They just do the little things right. They pitch, they play defense, timely hitting, small ball, nothing overpowering, nothing crazy impressive. Just a really good group of guys. And, I'm excited to see them. They were completely off my radar the entire year. Kudos to them, though. They did what they had to do, and now they're at the World Series.
Good for UW Whitewater, making their first ever trip.
Yeah. North Atlantic, Penn State, who we will be talking to in a little bit here. Returning World Series team, heck of a tournament. You can see I think they only gave up, 1 run the entire time. Took down UMass 3-1, took down UConn 4-0, and then run-rolled St. Joe's in the championship game. Impressive weekend across the board. They were semifinalists last year at the World Series, so I'm sure they have big expectations. They're also a 2-time World Series champ in the past. It'll be interesting to see how they come off of last year into this year's World Series.
I believe that UMass Penn State game was like 1-1 into the 7th inning or something like that. It was a real close game right there. Penn State, I believe, is the NCBA has the record for most World Series appearances.
Definitely up there, for sure. All right, moving right along, South Atlantic, Florida State came in as the 4th seed, the at-large bid, and just ran the table. Took down number 1 Georgia 13-1 in a run roll. Took down South Carolina 5-1, and then they took down a familiar foe in Florida Gulf Coast 11-1 by mercy rule. The interesting thing there is Florida Gulf Coast swept Florida State in conference play throughout the regular season, and Florida State just took it right to them in the championship game. Obviously, they're our defending champ, so just really impressive performance across the board. Excited to see them again at the World Series. I guess the side note is, can they become the first team since Colorado State in 2010 to successfully defend their World Series title?
Oh, interesting.
Little tidbit there.
All right. So that's the last of it. So we got our 8 teams heading to the World Series. Talk to us about the bracket that'll kick off in Alton, Illinois.
Yeah, so the seeding is Utah State in the 1 spot, Penn State in the 2 spot, Cal Poly 3, Colorado 4, Florida State 5, LSU 6, Virginia Tech 7, Whitewater 8. No disrespect to any World Series prior to this, but I think this has got to be one of the most star-studded fields we've had in a long time, just because we got 5 returning World Series teams. We got 4 teams from last year's semifinals, so all 4 of those teams return this year. We have the defending champ in Florida State. We got the defending runner-up in Cal Poly, and then some just great stories with Whitewater running the table this year, coming out of nowhere. Colorado, what they did at their regional. Virginia Tech is a previous World Series champ, too. So there's just so many storylines across the board here, and I think it's just going to be an awesome field.
I'm excited to see what LSU can put together in their second trip ever to the World Series, back-to-back years. But, you think of LSU, you think about big-time college baseball. Last year was their first exposure to the World Series. I believe they went 1-2. But now that they've seen it, they've seen what the competition can be like on a national level. What kind of performance are they going to put together when they come out here next week? The Penn State Virginia Tech
just going to touch on that. Yep.
Matchup, a game that was the highlight of the entire spring training showcase down on Panama City Beach. A back and forth affair that went extra innings that ended up with a walk-off home run by Penn State. And I remember walking off those fields. Spalding from Virginia Tech came up to me. He goes, "We lost that." He's like, "Sandy, I'm not even mad that we lost. That was such an amazing baseball game." He's like, he's like, that's what you want at the World Series, right? I'm like, that's right. Get back to the World Series. Let's see you guys go at it, on the national stage. So here's their chance.
Yeah, I was joking around the other day that if we get half of as good as a game that was, we'll be thrilled. That was one of the best games, like you said, of spring training, probably the best. It kind of just set the stage for an awesome first-round game with the 2-7 seed Penn State, Virginia Tech, both well-storied programs in the NCAA. Like you were saying, Penn State, two-time World Series champ, probably have had the most games, most appearances at the World Series. VT won the World Series back in 2021. Just lots of storylines across the board here. It's going to be an exciting week. It's a lot of good teams.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's welcome to the show from Penn State, Cam Medic, head coach.
There he is.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How we doing, Cam? We got Eric and Sandy here. We got Jimmy along as well.
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Cam, I've never actually seen you without a baseball hat.
I was going to say, I didn't know you had that nice head of hair.
I feel weird looking at myself like this.
Well, congratulations to the Nittany Lions for a successful North Atlantic Regional performance. Did you think everything went as planned going into that regional?
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be tough. We faced UConn last year in a crazy close game, but we went into it. What we've been preaching all year was it starts with our pitching, it ends with our pitching. And like you guys touched on, 19 scoreless from our starters and then 1 run given up in 26 innings. Our pitching's been phenomenal. They've been the backbone to this team this year. And kudos also how comfortable they feel knowing the defense we have behind them. And zero errors given up in all 3 games that we played.
But yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We were talking about you guys are, obviously a very well-storied program in the NCBA. And just coming off last year, a semifinalist team at that. What kind of things did you guys learn from your experiences last year to carry over to this year to help you get to this point?
Yeah, and that's kind of the big thing we've preached all year is last year what an amazing season we had, but it was also just we had 13 kids coming onto the season prior to tryouts, and to fill 2 full teams to make the runs both our D1 and D2 team had. Yes, falling up short hurt, but we learned so much, and this year was getting back to the World Series was the precedent. And we have a deep team. Everyone knows their role, and they're just it's do or die at this point. We're here to win a World Series, not to get to one.
Okay, Sandy.
Cam, we talked last year at the World Series about how impressed I was in the performance of the Nittany Lions last year, in large part because of you weren't allowed to field a team in 2021 due to COVID, so the team had really been away from the field for 18 months. The program had kind of basically shut down and had to be rebuilt almost from scratch. I would think that performance last year I thought was a tremendous one, given those situations that so many guys were new, so many officers were new to the program. But now you've got that experience under your belt. Who are we going to be looking at as the big names in Alton, Illinois for the Nittany Lions that are going to swing the stick and sort of you're going to hear Ryan Norris talking a lot about their performances?
I mean, what makes this team so special and cool is we have a number of returning guys that were on last year's team. We brought up a number of our players from the Division II team that lost in the national championship game, and then we brought on 6 absolute studs from tryouts that we got from this year. So, I mean, the pitching staff is deep, and you're going to hear names like Tyler Reinert and Matt Chitroma, who had outstanding performances last year. But then we got ex-president Ryan Hudinko's younger brother, Scott Hudinko, who's a freshman and has been one of the best hitters and defenders that I've personally ever seen. So it's a whole mixture of, it's not just seniors this year, it's led by our seniors, but we got people of all grades truly contributing to the team this year.
Talk to us about Virginia Tech. We obviously know you guys had a game for the ages, I guess we'll call it, down at PCB for Swing in the Spring. What did you guys take away from that game? What do we need to change? Obviously, you guys came out on top, but it was a very close game, and they're obviously a very good team. How are you guys approaching a second matchup with them?
I mean, it's funny that this will be our 3rd time playing them in the past 2 years. They got the best of us last year in Florida, And then, like you guys have said, that game this year in Florida was one of the craziest I've ever been part of. And we were fortunate enough to come up top. But nothing but respect for them. I love the way they handle their team, the players play. It's going to be one crazy game. I can almost guarantee that. But what better way to settle a rubber match than the first game in the World Series? But, I mean, we know what – I don't want to give away too much in case they're watching this. But, no, we're prepared, we're ready, and we're very excited.
All right. Cam, good luck to you and the Nittany Lions the rest of the way. I'll see you out there in Alton, Illinois here in just a week and a half or so. Hey, you there still?
I think we might have lost
Might
him.
have signed off early.
Might have signed off early.
All right. Well, Cam Medic from Penn. Oh, yeah,
There he is.
No.
We were just wishing you well. You know, that game was fantastic. We're excited to see you guys match up in that first round, and really both of you, all 8 teams, I guess, at that too. But you know, we're really excited to see you guys back at the World Series, and you know, good luck with your next week of practice and safe travels. And you know, we'll be seeing you soon.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Could not be more excited to be there.
All right. Take care, Cam.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
All right,
Cam
moving
Medic
right
from
along.
Nittany Lions. All right. So D1 World Series starts on
Friday the 26th.
26th. Game
What's
one?
game 1? I should know this off the top of my head, but I don't.
Should.
Cal Poly LSU. Way to kick things off right there, huh?
10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m.
Central Time.
Central.
Time.
We need to beat that into people's heads. Same thing for D2. We'll talk about it in a little bit here. So.
Yep. Central Time, and all those games will be broadcasted courtesy of Varsity Sports Now.
Yep. All that information can be found on the website.
All right. Good stuff. Well, let's jump back to D2, and Jimmy, why don't you take us through your D2 regional playoff updates and how that went down, how we ended up with this World Series field.
Sure thing. Leading it off, we'll have the Chesapeake Regional. Temple, the champions there. And I hear that they have 2 just absolute stud starters. And we have a good matchup at the World Series we'll get into later versus Grand Canyon. So I'm excited to see that. But here they beat Penn State in Game 1, 6-1. Followed that up with a 14-5 win versus Montclair State, and then won the rematch against Montclair State again, 9-2. So we'll see the Owls here on Friday.
First World Series appearance for them, right?
Yes, as far as I know.
I believe so, yeah.
I believe so. Good for them.
Moving on to the Dixie, a lot of good games here. First round, both one-run games with North Georgia taking down High Point, Central Florida taking down Georgia Southern.
Not to interrupt you, they threw a no-hitter in that, I believe? Central Florida? Yeah, I think I saw that on Twitter.
I don't know. That's news to me, but at 0 runs scored, it wouldn't surprise me.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
A little nugget for you.
And then again, you'll notice Central Florida beats North Georgia 12-11 in the 1-0 game, and then again in the championship 12-11. Central Florida's down 9-3 in the 6th. They score, tie the game up, and then win the game in the 7th versus North Georgia to send them to the World Series.
Good for North Georgia. 4 seed.
New team this year. I don't know for sure anyway, whether they were in the league prior or not and came back after COVID, but this was their first year back. So good to see them find success early.
Yeah, good for them.
I think this is Central UCF's D2's first.
D2. Yep, D1's been there. Yep.
Been to the World Series. All right, so Golden Knights heading to Illinois.
Yeah. Moving on to the Great American, Missouri S&T goes 3-0, returning World Series team, so this is their 2nd year in a row making it. 2 good games versus Arlington Baptist. You can see in the first round there, 2-1 win, and then they get by Washington St. Louis 10-1, and then beat Arlington Baptist 14-13 in a thriller. And we'll talk to head coach and president Jacob Shantz here in a bit, but they scored 9 in the bottom of the 7th to tie the game and send it to extras.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Yeah.
9 runs in the bottom of the 7th.
Yes.
So they earned it. Got it.
They earned it, yeah. So I'm excited to talk to Jacob and see what was going through their head, how'd that happen, or what.
All right.
New England Regional, Antonio from the office ran it. All I hear out of the New England teams is that it's a lot of pitching. And, they back that up here. New Hampshire only gives up 1 run in 3 games by beating Fordham 9-1, Syracuse 12-0, and then Syracuse again 2-0.
That's a tough region. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's a tough region. kudos to Fairfield, obviously having a great year, but I feel like those 3 other teams were nationally ranked very high throughout the whole year.
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
Fordham World Series team last year, too.
Fordham World Series team last year. Syracuse in the top, not just the top 20, the top 5 all year. So, yeah, good, exciting regional there with the New Hampshire coming out on top. The New Penn, Ohio State goes 3-0 to send them to the World Series, beating Cal U 8-2, a good one with Old Dominion 3-2, and then another good one against West Virginia 4-3. In the championship game, West Virginia's up 3-1 going into the bottom of the 6th. Ohio State scores 3 to take a 1-run lead, and then West Virginia couldn't get it across. But that was after a lightning delay, a couple hours there. So you wonder if that had, any effect on what happened.
Momentum, changing the guard.
Yep, exactly. Old Dominion, I want to shout them out too. Second year in the league. Last year they just missed making the playoffs, but this year they make a regional and win a game. So it's nice to see them have success.
Yeah, good for them.
All right, another step up the totem pole for ODU.
Yeah.
And I thought they looked really good at spring training. I think that's a program absolutely on the rise, ODU.
Yeah, they were at the Charleston Fall Invitational this year too, and same thing, looked good. Northern Plains, Wisconsin Lacrosse going 3-0, taking down St. Thomas 3-2, Creighton 8-5, and then Creighton again 5-4. Tidbit there: Lacrosse and Creighton's presidents, I don't know if they either went to high school together or they just know each other, but they're good personal friends, and those two played each other 5 times this year.
Jeez. That's a cool little tidbit right there.
Yeah, and I don't know, Lacrosse's first World Series appearance?
I believe so.
I think so.
I believe so.
It's the year the UW branch campuses.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right. The Pacific Regional returning World Series champion Grand Canyon comes out on top 3-0. Tight one in their first game, taking down Northridge 3-2, but cruised from there. I talked to Coach Kim Carpenter here and there, and he just is very proud of this team, said everyone's so hungry to go back-to-back, and he's just excited to see what they can do. It's easier said than done, no matter how good you are.
I think there's only one D2 team that's ever been back-to-back, and I believe it was the first team ever to win a D2 championship, Kentucky, way back when, 08.
And they got moved up to D1.
Yeah, so that'd be impressive if they can do it again.
Do we know, is this Grand Canyon roster heavily returners, or did a lot of those last year kids move up to D1 this year?
Heavily returners, if not all of them. And he said this year's team is better than last year's, so excited to see how that. Yeah, exactly. Excited to see, if they can back that up here this weekend.
All right.
And then last but not least, the Rocky Mountain region, the U.S. Air Force Academy needs 2 games on Sunday against Metro State, and they get them both.
Familiar foes right there, right? Same conference?
Same conference.
Yep,
same conference, right in each other's backyard. Beating Washington State 13-8, drop one to Metro 6-5, and then come back to double-dip them twice on Sunday, 5-0 and 9-4.
Good for them. We had them at the 2019 event, and they were runner-up to Pittsburgh State that year. They were impressive. Good group of guys, too. So hopefully they do well later this week, I guess, right? That's scary to say.
Yeah, right. Tournament director Dave Stahl, regional director Dave Stahl, said they looked very good, very just fundamental. So
good.
Air Force Falcons flying high.
Speaking of World Series.
All right. Well, take us through your – so now we knew the E teams that make the D2 World Series. Take us through the bracket.
Yeah. So first-round matchups will have number 1 seed Ohio State versus number 8 seed Wisconsin Lacrosse, number 4 seed Air Force versus number 5 seed New Hampshire, number 2 seed Grand Canyon taking on number 7 seed Temple, and number 3 seed Central Florida taking on number 6 seed Missouri S&T. And I want to say the game I'm most excited for day one is Grand Canyon Temple. Like we touched on earlier, Temple has apparently good pitching going up against the returning World Series champions. So see if you can, punch them in the mouth game one.
Punch them in the mouth.
I feel fairly confident in saying none of these teams have ever played each other.
Probably not. Not a lot of geographic proximity there in the first round matchups.
Yeah, I'm even thinking like past World Series events too. No. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, you got a good group.
Well, that kicks off this coming Friday, at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Central Time
in Alton, Illinois. Follow all the action on Facebook and Twitter, right? There'll be lots
Yep.
of posts going on in there.
Be running a Gamecast. Get
Gamecast
that
live.
link out there. Yep.
All right.
Good stuff, Jimbo.
All right. Well, hey, let's get Missouri S&T's Jacob Shantz on the show.
There he
Jacob,
is.
welcome to Suite 301.
Oh, thank you. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Before we butcher any further, can we get a pronunciation on your last name?
Yeah, it's Sean's.
Sean's.
Sean's. Okay.
So, Jacob, we touched on it earlier. Just let us know what last year making the World Series, what can you guys bring going into the World Series this year? Do you guys feel just more confident? You know what you're kind of getting into? And just what does that experience mean for you guys coming into Game 1?
Yeah, I think we basically just know what to expect. We had a hard, outing last year, going 1-2, getting walked off twice against North Dakota State. But we definitely picked up a lot more talent this year, and I think our lineup's a lot stronger all the way through. So I think we basically know what the expectations are, and that we're going to have to, or how we're going to have to perform to find success this year.
Right, and I think it seems like you guys have been tested a decent amount all year. Your conference with you guys, Arkansas and Washington St. Louis, 3 good teams fighting for 2 playoff spots. And then you go to the regional and a lot of close games, and we talked about the wild kind of finish versus Arlington Baptist. So take us through that. How did you score 9 runs in the 7th? What was the just mindset of the team? Were we already looking towards the if necessary game and how we're going to attack that, and then come to find out you're going to extra innings and you're not even going to play it?
Yeah, it's obviously it is the craziest game I've ever been a part of. So, as from a manager president standpoint, like I was thinking ahead, like God, who are we going to pitch the next game, because we only had 12 guys playing for us on that Sunday. But there's just kind of like this mentality in the dugout. The guys were ready to play, and we didn't want to play a second game on Sunday. So it all started with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Cal Griner hit a triple, and that kind of just got things rolling. I think we had a good series of hits after that, a couple walks, hit by pitches to go our way. The other team was definitely a little rattled, and we just kept putting it on them. And before we knew it, the game was tied. Well, with 2 outs left, or with 2 outs in the 7th, and then we had to finish them off in the 8th.
Wow, yeah, that's the guy I had running the tournament said it was just a great game, and you kind of led into it. He told me how gritty that you guys were, and constantly the whole bench is in the game, whether the players in the game or not. And I remember from the D2 World Series last year, myself and the whole staff kind of thinking that as well, just how gritty Missouri S&T does all the little things right, nothing flashy. So is that something you guys kind of instill into the program? All players just buy in and playing for one goal?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys on our team who just play with a lot of heart. They really care about the sport, and they bring it and show it on the field every single day we play. So we had a kind of a rough season, not typical, with a lot of rainouts and stuff. And there were, I guess, some gaps where we didn't play at all and came back and looked pretty rough. But once regionals hit, I think everybody was ready to go. We had a few good series leading up into there to get us some more playing time, and we're ready to come out and play this next weekend for sure.
Now, Jacob, last year you went to the World Series. You'd basically cross half the country to get to Butler, Pennsylvania. Now you're heading to Alton, Illinois. How far is that from your campus?
It's about 1 hour 30 at 2 hours away. Most of the guys actually live pretty close to the field. So personally, I'm only 40 minutes away. So it's nice not having to travel across the country this time around.
Do you think that will enhance your ability to pack the stands with spectators?
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm letting everyone I know that we're playing. So I'm hoping a lot of the other guys are doing the same, and I think we're going to have a pretty good crowd.
All right. Well, it's kind of like the de facto home team there for this World Series. Well, congratulations to you and the rest of Missouri S&T. Jacob, thanks for joining us on the show, and best of luck in your short commute this weekend. And good luck in Game 1 on Friday.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Jacob Shans.
There you go.
Jacob Shans from Missouri S&T. I like it. They're gonna pack the place for you guys. I know it.
I hope so. They got to be by far the closest team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things.
Wisconsin lacrosse isn't terribly far, but when I say terribly far, I want to say they're within like 5 hours.
Okay, well, not an hour. Got it.
Yeah.
Less than an hour. All right, moving along. What do we
Division
got?
3.
Talk some district playoffs real quick here.
Let's fill us in on how the D3 playoffs went down.
District 1 playoff, Rhode Island, who we're going to be talking to in a little bit here. Best of 3 against Maine. They took the first 2 games. Third game is not necessary, so congrats to Rhode Island. They're going to be heading to Butler, PA for the World Series later this week.
First time for them going?
I believe so. District 2, we had George Washington and York College over in PA. Best of 3, and it looks like York came out on top 2-0, so kudos to them. They've been around, I believe, a couple of years, but they really took off this year, so hats off to them. They're going to try and finish the season with a World Series title, so we'll find out later this week.
So York went into – they were on the road.
Correct. Yep, George Washington was hosting them, so York came in, like you said, and took 2.
Took 2, called it a day, packed it up, made a tidy trip.
District 3 over in Indiana, we had a full 4-team district here, double elimination. We had Saginaw Valley, Kent State, Cleveland State, and Oakland. Some really good baseball teams here. Kent State came out on top. They took down Cleveland State. I believe they double-dipped them. Yep, right there. Was that 20-2? Good for them. 20-2 in the first game that morning, and then 10-2 in the second, if necessary, game. Good for the Golden Flashes. We'll be seeing them in Butler, PA later this week. And last but not least, District 4, Milwaukee School of Engineering and Wisconsin River Falls. Milwaukee School of Engineering came out on top, and they'll be our 4th team at the World Series.
Milwaukee School of Engineering, ruining the UW branch campus run of World Series appearances.
Didn't even think of that, yeah.
Well, good for you, Milwaukee School of Engineering. Good stuff.
So with that said, we have a World Series bracket here.
All right, let's check it out. Again, the D3 World Series is a 4-team double elimination.
Yep, very similar to a regional playoff. We got number 2 Rhode Island taking on number 3 Kent State, number 1 York, and Milwaukee School of Engineering as the 4 seed. So, yep, action kicks off Friday. Should be a good event. Got a great venue. It's the same venue that the Division 2 World Series was held at last year. Turf infield, nice little grandstands, a lot of history behind it. Should be a good event.
All right, so we got 2 Friday night, 3 games Saturday, and 1 or 2
One, maybe 2. Yep, Sunday.
Sunday for the championship. All right, good stuff. Pullman Park, Butler,
Pullman Park, a lot of history there.
All right, terrific. Be sure to follow along on our social media there as well for updates.
Absolutely.
All righty.
I believe we have a guest caller as well from Rhode Island.
Jared Turcott from URI.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, guys?
There he is. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We're excited. Really excited.
Good. This is Eric. I got Sandy and Jimmy to my left. First and foremost, congrats. You guys have had a hell of a season. Let's just start there. Take us through your season. The ups and downs. Obviously, we're in a good spot heading to the World Series, but what's the year been like for you guys?
Yeah, so last year we were in D2. We ended up getting relegated to D3. We went 5-10 last year, and we really had a bounce back year this year. We're 18-4, and at one point we had an 11-game winning streak during the season. So we've really strung it along and put some wins together, and just operated as a team.
No better time. Let's talk about that district playoff too. 2-0 against Maine. How did the games go? Did they go to plan? Obviously, you guys came out successful, so pretty good on your end. But walk us through those games.
So we actually got swept by Maine back in October. It was a home series. I feel like they were more prepared than us, and they ended up sweeping us. But this past weekend comes around, and our pitching just was incredible. We had Nick Rioles and Colin Bana, our president, both pitched complete game victories, and we had a big rally in the 5th inning of Game 2 that really propelled us to victory. So.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to my next question too. Tell us about some of the guys on the team. How did we get to this point? You got some stud pitching. How are you guys built essentially? Some of your bigger names.
So Nick Rioles, he's our I'd say he's our best pitcher. He ended up winning the conference triple crown for strikeouts, wins, and ERA. Really good, extremely good pitcher. He's not going to go any further, but he's
Don't want to get too much away. I got you.
Yeah. We have Connor Corcoran, who also is a very good pitcher for us, and Colin Bana. Those are mostly our three starters, workhorses. So when it comes to hitting, we really just try to put up a fight every pitch. We're not we're not an easy team to put down. We try to put up a fight every at bat and make life hard on opposing pitchers. So.
And you mentioned the transition, I guess you guys made results-wise on the field from last year to this year. What was really one of the biggest reasons for that?
I'd say maybe a change in mindset compared to last year. A lot more kids are getting at bats and getting on the mound, and I'd say just general change in mindset. We're really like trying to like put our nose to the grindstone here and really grind things out and string together victories. So.
Gotcha. Nice. So far, so good. You know, we're excited to see. I think you guys are opening up against Kent State, I believe. Yep. Is that game 1 or game 2? I do not have a bracket in front of me.
That's game 1.
Jared, game 1.
Jared, you know, you talked about being relegated to Division III. I think really what happened was after COVID, we bounced back. We didn't have the volume to have bring Division III back right away. We're excited to bring it back for this season and for hopefully decades down the road. But you're coming up against a Kent State team who, is also a COVID impact team. You know, they were one of the first teams to get shut down back in 2020 when the pandemic hit, and did not return to action until this year. They were not reinstated as a club sport last year even, so it had been like 3 years for them. That said, it's a school that I expect to put out a ton of athletes on the field. How are you guys preparing for this Kent State battle?
We know they're going to be running the base pass really well. I believe they had 88 stolen bases on 105 attempts or something like that this year. So I mean, they have a lot of high batting averages. They put the ball in play a lot, and they definitely make life pretty hard on the base paths. So we'll be game planning against that.
Yeah, one's got to think too that they might bring some fans. Kent State's only, I think, an hour and a half away from Butler, so might get a little rowdy.
Yep.
So I got nothing else. Sandy, you guys good?
No, I'm excited. Jared.
Yeah, congrats, man.
Congratulations to you and the rest of URI Club. We wish you the best of luck this Friday in your opening game. I hope you have a great time and enjoy it. You guys have earned it. Go out there and win the hardware.
We will. We're going for it.
Good stuff.
All right, Jared. We'll see you later this week, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the baseball segment. Other than what do we got on the housekeeping side that officers out there need to be thinking about?
I think the biggest thing really is just paperwork. Your league participation agreements and your registration forms for next year. Yeah, really. Jimmy, got anything else? Oh, all-region stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say all-American stuff.
Yeah, all-American, get those nomination forms in. But really the big thing is just getting your paperwork in for next year.
Yep. Learn from the basketball teams. Don't forget to nominate your players.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to close out with a little softball update as that World Series kicks off this Thursday. Be right back.
The Game is the official headwear sponsor for Cold Club Sports. They offer our team's quality headwear, such as hats, visors, boonies, and beanies for a great low price. All items are customizable to meet our team's needs. Contact Felicia.Battaglia at coldclubsports.com for all of your headwear needs.
Rawlings is the proud uniform, equipment, and ball sponsor of the National Club Baseball and Softball Associations. Teams receive up to 45% off on all their orders. For more information, including catalogs and price quotes, contact our front office today.
we're back for the NCSA softball portion of the show, and I welcome back Christian Smith. I missed you, Christian.
It's good to be back.
All right, good stuff. Talk to us about what's going on in softball.
Well, I think last episode we went through the brackets, got all those out. We have the pool play schedule already released. That's on the website. And we're going to get a guest caller from the University of Iowa, their president, Sydney Powell. Let's get her on the show. There she is. How are you, Sydney? Welcome to Suite 301.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. I hope you're excited for the World Series. I know we are. And I'm really excited to see your team play. I'm excited to see all the teams play, but Iowa especially, because I feel like your team was a team that, and maybe I'm wrong here, but was somewhat under the radar early on in the season. At least in the top 20 polls, I don't think Iowa was ranked, even though they were 6-0 in the fall. But the big eye-opener for your program was when you guys went down, or you ladies went down to spring training. And I believe you went 6-0 down there. You beat some heavy hitters. Excuse me. Illinois, you beat them twice. Bloomsburg, who was a very good team. Florida State, Northern Illinois, and even Cortland was a very good team. Tell us a little bit about your experience down at the showcase, and do you think it helped your program kind of get over the hump and into the World Series this year?
For sure, absolutely. We hadn't played a lot of opponents outside of our conference prior to spring training, so we kind of went into it with this attitude, not knowing how good these teams were going to be, what they were going to pull against us. So I think that attitude of just going in there super confident really helped us. It was really great to see some other teams. There was a lot of good talent down there, and going 6-0 just built our confidence a lot for the next coming games.
And then after that, I believe you went up to Wisconsin to play a round-robin tournament, and you beat Wisconsin twice. And then, I think it opened the eyes, at least of me, like, wow, this Iowa program is beating Illinois. They're beating Wisconsin. They're beating Florida State. Some really well-known programs. And then you guys play your rivals, Iowa State, in conference play and drop 2 of 3. What did that do to your program? Because at that point, you ladies weren't in the driver's seat.
Right. I think we kind of went into it a little bit confident, but to be honest, Iowa State is just a great team. They played better than us. They hit better than us, but it also kind of set this expectation that we can lose. And so from then on out, we just kind of went in there with this attitude that anything could happen. But going 2-0 against Wisconsin was great. We've got this realm of confidence now, so we're really excited for the World Series for sure. Yeah,
again, and before we even get into the World Series, I wanted to talk a little bit about regionals, because you guys went 3-0 at regionals, and you defeated some really, really good programs. Arkansas State, who's won a national championship before, you beat them, 13-2 in the opening round. And then you play Air Force in the winner's bracket game. You beat them 9-0, and then in the championship game, you beat them again 24-5. Not very good at math, but a lot of offense out at regionals. Looks like you only gave up 5 runs, so defensively you're very talented as well. But what is the are you more of an offensive-based team, or are you just a well-rounded team? What's the makeup of your program?
I would say we're a pretty well-rounded team. Our offense, though, has just been pretty outstanding, especially this spring. We added a couple new members, a new pitcher, some great hitters, so they've added a lot. Last year we played Arkansas State and Air Force in regionals, and we lost to both of them. So we went into it this year with a little bit different attitude and came out on top, so it worked out well.
Yeah. I mean, congratulations on that. You earn your spot in the World Series. You are the number 3 seed in pool play. In your pool, you have the University of Maine, you have Illinois, and you have Georgia. And again, you hear those teams, Sandy. There's just no easy pools.
No.
And not that pool play is all make or break. But But what is the mindset going into pool play? Do you have a strategy? Obviously, if you go 3-0, it's not like you're eliminated from the event. But is there any type of strategy? Do you know anything about these teams? Obviously, you played Illinois before, but what is the strategy going into pool play down at the World Series?
Yeah, we've played Illinois before, so we kind of know what to expect with them. But we have great depth in our lineup, so we kind of know if anyone's struggling, we have people who can back them up. We don't know much about Georgia and Maine, so we're just going to try to get a lot of people playing time. We have 21 girls on the teams, which is quite a lot. So we're going to try to get everyone some time on the field for the World Series, but we're really excited to see some new teams.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see you play. Lacey Lautner, who's in our office, who will be coming down. She ran the Mid-America Regional and was really impressed with your team. I think one of the parents came up to her and was like, I want to know what they're feeding these girls because they can just hit the ball a very long way. So I'm excited to see. I don't know, Sandy, do you have anything?
Sydney, I was communicating with Jamie O'Mara earlier today. I don't know if you know him. He's former coach of the club baseball team there at Iowa for many years, took them to the World Series. And he reached out today to talk about your program and how excited he is to see the success your team is having this year and how quickly it is, because it's still a young program, right? What, is this year 2?
The club started in 2016, but we had to shut down a couple years for COVID. So
okay. So it's still a relatively young program. He was excited to see how well of a season you're having so far, and he's pumped to see how deep of a run you can make in Georgia at the World Series this week. So, as am I. It's Iowa Club Sports has always been one of our favorites here in the awesome office. Just tremendous sportsmanship, great people. Great athletes, and can't wait to see what you bring to the field on this national stage. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll look forward to meeting you on I guess Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night we'll see you at the coaches'
It's tomorrow night. Right?
Yeah, which is
tomorrow.
Yes.
Look forward to meeting you tomorrow.
But Sydney, thank you so much for your time, and again, really excited to see you play and the rest of the Hawkeyes play. We'll be sure to do our best to roll the red carpet out for you. And look forward to seeing you down in Columbus, Georgia.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Safe travels, Sydney. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Christian, let's wrap it up with take us through the May top 20 poll.
Yes. So not ton change. Sacred Heart, same number 1 spot. Iowa, you see.
Did this come out after regionals?
This came out after regionals. Yes, it did. It came out the first Thursday after in May, which was after regionals. But you see Iowa coming in at the number 2 spot. Michigan State, Grand Valley State making a pretty big jump after their regional win in the the Great Lakes. And our reigning national champions, Virginia Tech Hokies, who will be down in Columbus defending their national championship from 2022, round out the top 5. So, a lot of good teams on there. And again, I mentioned it earlier. I was just looking at these pools and trying to see, hey, maybe there's a weaker pool in, you can kind of pick one team that's going to run through a pool, but you can't. It is really, at least in my opinion, it's going to be very up in the air. A lot of good teams, a lot of competition. You have the number 1 overall seed in pool play, Sacred Heart, coming into the World Series undefeated in conference, undefeated overall. So I'm excited to see, if they do drop one, how do they respond to that? But they're a very deep program. I got to see them out at regionals, a big team. But yeah, top to bottom, 1 through 16, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Christian, what else do the softball presidents need to be focused on right now?
Yes, so All-Americans, the deadline has passed. So All-American nomination forms were supposed to be due yesterday. So we will be selecting the All-Region and All-American teams after we get through the World Series. I think very soon after the World Series, we'll have the All-Region teams come out, and then follow that by the All-Americans. And then May 26th is the deadline to submit your academic All-American nomination form, along with the academic letters stating that the players you nominated do in fact have at least a 3.0 cumulative GPA. Again, that is May 26th. And then we will have information about our league meeting coming out very shortly. I believe we may have internally picked a date, but I can't remember that off the top of my head. But we will have an invitation out ASAP to the team so that you can plan for that, because we go over quite a bit of important information along with role suggestions and things like that. So stay tuned for that. Check your emails regularly. And then last, the common theme with all of our leagues this time of year is to get your league participation agreement and registration forms submitted. The deadline is June 1st. There is some wiggle room. There is a buffer, but try and get that in by June 1st, because especially this year with Division II on the horizon, knowing what teams are in the league makes our job a little easier with realignment. So please try and get that paperwork submitted on time before the deadline of June 1st. But that is it. That is all I have.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to close up this show for this month, really. We appreciate you tuning in and catching up on all that's going on. It's going to be a busy next 2 weeks with 4 national championships on the docket. But in the meantime, be sure to continue following us on social media, Facebook and Twitter, for all the updates.
And the next episode is going to be June 13th at 3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Facebook Live. Join us to catch up on everything that's happening around Call Club Sports.
And never forget, it's a game.
Have fun.